Hello, friends. Welcome to the Let's Quit podcast. Today, we are interviewing somebody very special, our friend Jared Whitmyre from the Woodworking Pelican. So today, he's going to drop some massive knowledge bombs on all of you, and it's going to be fantastic. We're excited.
Yeah, we'll kind of explain it in the podcast, but we've known Jared for quite a while. He's one of the first people to join the Stud Stack, actually.
Yeah.
And he's been helping us out over there a ton. Just a great guy, a great friend, has, learned a lot of lessons in life, and it shows in his character and just sort of how he interacts with people. He's a people person.
Yeah.
So we like him, obviously, also being people. But yeah, other than that, we'll just jump right into the conversation. Really excited for you to hear more from the mind of our good friend Jared Whitmyre. So without further ado, welcome to the Let's Quit podcast.
Quitting is not always a bad thing.
If you have the right mindset, quitting can be the most powerful tool you have on your journey to success. It's certainly been helpful for us.
Whether it's flying through hurricanes, building our businesses, or just trying to get to bed on time, we're always trying to level up and improve our lives.
This is the show where we share the lessons, experiences, and friends that have helped us live this incredible life. So let's quit the bad and grow the good together. So, Jared, do you remember how we met?
Yeah, I was doing your guys' programs, and this is like our first contact. And at the end of your videos or your, different programs, you ask like all these questions. And so I think I put some thought into them, and you reached out originally just asking me to join the Stud Stack, and that's kind of where it got started.
Wow. Yeah, I remember that.
Yes.
You reminded me a couple days ago that you were one of the first people to join the Stud Stack, which is really cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So for those that don't know, we've got a little private mentoring group, I guess, mastermind group, I guess you could call it. It's just other makers who run businesses trying to help each other out. And we started it not knowing where it was going to go. Jared was one of the founding members, and
Yes.
now he's one of our moderators for the group. How long have we known each other now? Like what, 2.5 years? Because we were still in North Dakota, right?
Yeah. I guess it would be almost 2.5 years. Yeah.
Wow.
So I think I joined January or late 2019, maybe.
Wow. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how, like, with technology and everything, like we've been, I would call us friends for, the better part of 2 years now. And like, we've never met each other in person.
I know.
I just think that's crazy. Like I feel like we know you, like when you call, it's like we pick up, we know exactly who we're talking to, but we've never shaken your hand or fist bumped or anything in real life. We got to fix that. That's got to change.
I know. I agree. So if you guys ever come out to Moab.
So
I would love to. And that's so funny you say the responses to the questions, because I remember seeing those responses. Because sometimes people answer the questions and be like, yes, no, yes,
right,
no, or NA, or I don't know. And I was like, wow, this person like gave some really good responses. Like, I appreciate this feedback. Who is this person? Come to find out, it was.
Yeah. And that's actually, while I was doing it, I've been that kind of person too, where I just quick, short snippets, just to get the answers out there. But I really thought like what you guys were doing was really awesome. And it was literally to the T what I was looking for. So I wanted to kind of give back too. So that's what kind of informed the way I answered your guys' questions.
Nice. Yeah. So, other than the obvious friend crush we have on you, that's why we sort of wanted to have you on the podcast, is because, I don't know, you sounded like you got a good story and you got a good head on your shoulders, and we just wanted to know more about you. So we asked you to be on our podcast live in front of the audience.
So without further ado, I guess, tell us a little about yourself. Like, what's your story? How'd you get here?
Oh man, it's a journey, that's for sure. I was grew up in Nebraska, Omaha, the big city, and kind of grew up not to get too personal, but in a pretty chaotic family, and was never really, as a person, never really prioritized. None of us kids really were, just because of the chaos. And so I don't think we ever really got to understand who we were at kind of critical moments in our lives. And so that's important later, but basically grew up in Omaha, graduated high school 2003, then a lot of pressure to do the college thing. Wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I had one half of my family that was willing to pay for school. If we knew what we wanted to do, what classes we wanted to take, they would pay for it. So a lot of pressure there. Took classes, anything under the sun. Went to culinary school, tried to do physical therapy, tried biology and like zoology stuff, kind of all over the place. And for a long time, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just doing it to appease certain people. And then at 21, so in 2006, I met my now wife, Lauren. And that's when everything really changed. I got to know her and her family. They, had comparatively to my family, like had everything together. They were thoughtful, they were generous, they were kind. And both of our parents are therapists. And that was something I thought was really cool. And I found when we got married in 2009, we moved to Denver, Colorado, so she could go to school. And I was still going to school, after 6 years. And there was a light rail I would ride to and from the campus downtown. And that's where I started reading on the train. I wasn't really much of a reader before that. And her dad actually recommended this book. It's called Adult Children, Secrets of Dysfunctional Families. And that just immediately, I was like, oh, I need to understand this stuff. And so if you guys need to interrupt or ask questions, feel free. I'll
No, keep going.
No, this is all good. I don't want to.
I'm on the edge of my seat. Yeah.
I know.
Okay. And I realized I wanted to do something in psychology. And I really liked the idea of being a therapist, a clinician of some sort, helping people out, especially kids, just because of the mentorship that I sought out as a young boy. Like, my neighbor, when I was 5, he was like 50 something. His name was Wayne. He was like my best friend, but it was because he created some stability. But anyway, so psychology was my route. Started going to school for that. And after 11 years in 2014, I finally graduated with my bachelor's in psychology, minor in philosophy. So I chose psychology. It was great. Loved it. Did really, really well in it. Tried to apply to a few graduate programs. They didn't work out. Just didn't get accepted. And then after I graduated, moved to Salt Lake City so my wife could finish her training. She was done with school, but then she was doing residency. And I got a job at this treatment facility for adolescent boys. It was for behavioral and psychological disorders, and worked all over that place. And I loved that place. And that's actually where, my title topic comes from. But basically, I worked there for 4.5 years, and kind of toward the end fell out of love with the job, mostly because of the administration crap that goes on. Like, as an entry level, we were called youth counselors. We didn't really have any power. We were teaching these kids 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday, how to be better people, but we had zero power or control in what their outcomes were. Because they had therapists, that we had administration, they had family, all that. So it was this revolving door of these kids coming in and out. And it was just like, once they got great, did amazing. They were super cool people. They left. We got another troubled one, you know? So it was taxing on so many different fronts. And at that point, I was like, I was actually seeing a therapist, and he recommended, why don't you do your own thing? And I was like, well, what would I do? And at the time I was doing a lot of jujitsu, loving jujitsu. I still love it, but because I'm in a rural area, I haven't had any access to it. He's like, well, you could be a jujitsu instructor. I was like, no, I'm only a blue belt. Like, I can't do that. Why not? Well, I don't know, because so
these are dangerous questions to start asking yourself. I'm glad somebody was walking you through it. Yeah.
Right. And so I then did a lot of like soul searching, trying to figure out what I like to do. And ever since I was a kid, I was super creative. I was always, I was that typical kid that people talk about, like taking apart the telephone, taking apart the VCR, but never putting them back together. So that was bad.
Of course.
And I loved to draw as a kid. My older brother was an artist, and I always looked up to him for that. But I got into it a little bit more than he did. I knew I loved creativity. And in Salt Lake City, before I even decided to do any kind of woodworking as my career, I found this guy, Rob Cosman, on YouTube, and his hand tooling stuff is just, I don't know if there's anybody equal to him. Not now, at least making content. Right. So, I fell in love with that and said, I want to make stuff. Like I want to build things, and I really like wood. I think that would be amazing. And so that's kind of where it all happened in middle of 2019. We were going through a transition from Salt Lake City to Moab. I got my LLC for Woodworking Pelican, and decided, and my wife really, I can't thank her enough. Like it's because she was willing to allow me to just quit my job and just try this out, that this is even happening. So, that's kind of where we are. We've been in Moab now for 2 years, and things are going unexpectedly quite well, for especially being in such a small town. So
that's awesome.
That makes us so happy.
Yeah.
Wow, what a story though. Like, we always we knew you were cool. We were like, Jared's a cool dude, but like, man,
this is the first
you were
time.
A cool dude.
Yeah. We love we love interviewing our friends on the podcast, because we've heard snippets of everybody's story, but we've never heard like the full version of it. And it's just so cool to get the context behind the person, because like one of the things that like makes you so attractive as a person and as a friend, like, is the fact that you're a people pleaser, but you're also balanced on the other end with so much self-awareness. And now after hearing your story, it makes perfect sense. And that's a really valuable skill. And I know that you know that, which is even cooler because you use your powers for good instead of evil. And so
you're basically a superhero.
it's just really cool to see somebody that is, taking responsibility for their actions, or not even their actions, but their situation.
That's what I was going to say. The
and
responsibility of the
capitalizing on it.
circumstance.
Right. And just trying to be a positive force in the world, just to try and teach others to do the same things, or, it's really cool. And thank you so much for sharing the story. So with that and all the context and all the background, I think it's time we can jump into the title topic, and you can start laying some facts down for us.
The title topic is Quit Acting Immortal. And the idea behind that is kind of twofold. In life, it's stop making decisions like time doesn't matter, like you have an infinite amount of time in this life. Or 2, in business, stop undervaluing your time. So I think that a lot of people tend to, and we can get into this a little bit deeper too, especially, it's a pattern I've seen in woodworking, furniture building, people getting started. They just don't think their time is worth much, or as it's not worth as much as it should be. And then on the other side, you know, a lot of people, they make silly decisions, or they don't make the right decisions based on what's going to fulfill them later in life. So that's why I wanted to talk about this.
Yeah. So I guess step one, what is it that cued you to the pattern that people don't value their time very much? Just in general, it doesn't have to necessarily be woodworking business.
Sure.
But like, what is it that you're looking for when you see the pattern of this person doesn't respect their time?
So it, and it might be kind of a selfish thing, or kind of an egotistical perspective, but when I see people not trying to grow as people, as humans, trying to better their situation or their life, it doesn't make me angry. What it does is it makes me sad. It concerns me that, as far as we know, I think we've only got one life on earth, and to have that opportunity and then to not live it to its fullest, really, like I said, it makes me sad, and it makes me want to see more from people in general. And I think that's kind of what drove me to understand this idea of, like, love your time, you know, do something with it. It doesn't even have to be about work or you know, anything productive, but to make it the best life you can make it is, I mean, what greater thing can you do to honor the time you have?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
I totally agree and sympathize with pretty much all of that. It just, it I don't know, I get angry when I see, like, I'm sorry, when I see
He'll
somebody yeah, when I see somebody that's like wasting potential, or it's such a hard thing to describe, and we're not the first people to notice this, but like, when you have gone through hard times in your life and you've learned how to be happy and how to make the most of it, despite all of the challenges, and you see other people not adopting the same mentality, or not, I don't want to say the word grit, but like, it seems like sometimes people just don't have the grit to choose to be happy despite their circumstances. Not that terrible things don't happen, not that, you know, life really sucks sometimes, but it's really just about that positive mental attitude, because that's going to carry you through everything. And the lens through which we see our situation directly affects how we come out on the other side of it. And so if you just can harness that superpower of knowing, like, I get to choose how I respond to this situation. I don't get to change parts of the situation itself, but I get to choose how I respond to it and how I come out on the other side. And to see other people just sort of like sleepwalking through life, or, you know, just kind of like being a zombie in their day-to-day life and then complaining about it when they could do something about it, that's, man, my blood starts to boil.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's exactly right. I think that's exactly it. It's perspective. It's, you know, I used to work for this 24/7 hotline for like sexual abuse, relationship violence, things like that when I was going to school. And we had this quote: when you change the way you look at things, the look of things will change.
oh wow.
And so it just, it's about perspective. And when you decide that you're the victim, or you decide that the world is after you, or you decide that bad things happen to you because bad things happen to you, then you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be fulfilled. You're not going to be looking for the next good thing in your life. It's going to be the next bad thing. And then it's all downhill from there.
Yeah. So
Right.
so do you feel like your experience in school and I guess post high school sort of gave you that mentality, or do you feel like you've always sort of had that mentality and you just sort of found ways to articulate it later in life?
B. I think that it was, I think it's always been, I think it's genetic. I think it's in me as a person. I think it's who I am, to seek out better, to want better, to strive for better. And, you know, like I mentioned earlier, finding these positive male role models in my life, because my dad wasn't around. It really, I think that's what set me up for success. And so I found really cool people. I found, my neighbor when I was like 5 years old, he was really great. He would go out to shoot hoops with me and just like hang out, that kind of thing. And like grade school, I had, the principals were my buds, and, but they treated me nice. They were helpful. They helped me stay focused. In high school, I had this really incredible mentor, Mr. Moore, just an amazing person. And then he became a counselor. He was my German teacher, and then he became a counselor there. And he would like get me out of class and let me come hang out with him and talk about anger management and stuff. And so just.
Do you have his phone number? I need to call him.
Yeah, right. Man, I miss him so much. But and then, I think what happened was through those experiences, and then once I got to college, going to school, taking these classes, understanding myself and people a little bit better, really created that language, to articulate what was going on.
As wonderful as all that is, I hope that trait is not genetic, because I want people to be able to learn that, and people have.
Oh, sure.
I hope it's not genetic, because if it's genetic, that means it's going to be very hard to change.
Right, which is because I feel like your type is rare. Like to just naturally have it, I feel like that's very rare, and it's that's not in everybody. And so now it's like this figuring out of like, how do we get that?
Well, everybody. And it seems, and like you're way more read up on the psychology literature than we are, but like it seems like there's a small portion of the population that innately understands that concept from birth, and then there's another part of humanity that you have to go to hell and back before you learn that lesson. You really have to hit rock bottom. You've got to be like at the worst point in your life before you finally get the courage, or the idea pops in your head of, I can change this, I can fix this. And the unfortunate part is it doesn't seem like you can learn it with training wheels. You have to hit rock. But if you don't innately get this from a very young age, it's going to be really hard to learn it in life going forward. So, and that's sort of like, you're hitting on like the reason we put out content is to try and teach this. Like everything that we do, like we're trying to just subliminally put these lessons in. So it's really cool when we get to talk to somebody like you that can articulate their thoughts and understanding on this mechanism of what it is, because that's what drives us to make content. So anyway, any insights you have on that? So I guess to summarize this and bring some structure here, instead of just going further down the rabbit hole, it seems like the problem here is that some people don't understand the capacity that they have to do good or to make the most out of their life. And we see that it's probably a perspective issue. You're not looking at, your finite number of years on this planet. You're not looking at, on the spectrum, your talents are far and ahead of most people, so you should use those to help others. So what's your solution to that? What's conceptually your answer to people who don't see themselves as changeable or movable, or people that aren't taking advantage of their time in the best way that they could? What's your solution for that?
What I used to do with the kids at that facility that I worked at, I would put a timeline on the board, or, have them imagine it. At the beginning, we're born. And as morbid as it seems, and the joke is the things you're guaranteed in life are death and taxes. Well, there are plenty of people who don't pay their taxes. So death, right? And it sounds kind of morbid, but from 0 to death, you have a certain amount of time, whether that's 35 years, 2 years, whatever, 90 years. You're going to reach that point at a moment in your life, and you're no longer going to have any control. But between here and that point, you do have control. You do have the ability to perceive things more positively. You do have the ability to grab a book and read it. You do have the ability to do something, to see a therapist, to get that job that you wanted, to get that promotion, and you have control. And I think when you think about it that way, for me, it's super positive because I have control. And if I don't have control, that's where things get scary. And I think that's what happens when people default to that mentality of, oh, I'm screwed, everything bad is happening to me, is they don't realize that they can grab life by the horns and do something about it. And just know that as a person, like, we are resilient, we're strong, we're capable of so much more than we allow ourselves. And that can be scary because it puts the onus on us, but it also is empowering because it puts it on us. So we have that ability. So I don't know if that quite answers the question, but I think understand what you have control over and do something with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think making like a real physical example for people is sometimes what really sells them on it or really convinces them it's true. Like you physically drawing out a timeline. I think that's a great idea because some of us are A-okay sitting here and talking concepts. One day you will die. And we're like, oh my gosh, yes, you're right. And some of us are like, oh, but I can't see it. And until you physically write it out for people, that's what's going to finally make it click. And so I really like that strategy too, for the people that are like, I must see it. I can't just talk concepts.
Yeah. And one other thing that I really, when I was thinking about this, came to mind was when I was in school, I found this idea called PTG. And a lot of people know what PTSD is, right? Like post-traumatic stress disorder. Well, there's a phenomenon that over the last decade or so has been seen in its post-traumatic growth. And so you can either go, when you have a traumatic incident, whether it's a brain injury, it's war, it's, an abusive relationship, you can go two directions. There's PTSD. That's where, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And then there's PTG, where you grow from the traumatic event. And depending on the skills and things you have before that, you really helps to dictate which way you go. And one of the things is like a social circle. There's this idea that you have a social circle. That's the biggest contributor to post-traumatic growth. So that's kind of what I start to think about when thinking about valuing your time. Like, find those relationships, find those mentors, find those friends, those family members that mean something to you and that give you that boost to move forward in life. And I think that's really important. Just find good people. And that's why I really love the Stud Stack. And that's why that was one of the things that sold me on it immediately was the community-based interaction around business. And it's the community. Like, I love all the business advice. I love seeing everybody's experience, but what I love are the people. And this is, I guess, sort of a plug, but if you're looking for good people to help you, get encouraged and feel positive about yourself, Stud Stack is it, man. So.
Yeah, I'm really excited coming up. We're switching platforms from Facebook to Discord. And we may have already done it by the time this comes out, but I can't wait because the relationships are going to get so much stronger in the group.
Right.
We're not trying to plug the group, I swear, but it's just, I'm really excited because I know that there are relationships there that have not been mined, or the friendship hasn't been extracted fully because Facebook has sort of gotten in the way. And I'm really excited for this platform change to really foster the growth and just
let people communicate way easier.
Right. So, because that's the whole goal of the Stud Stack, that's the whole goal of finding a good community, is you want somebody with similar values to you that you can talk with to help you through things. And our group just happens to be people that want to run a business. But I think that those are two good principles of any group that you're looking for, is find somebody with similar values, that prioritizes the same things that you do, and then try to learn from those people and help each other through the tough times. So I think this is the perfect segue into our action steps. All right, Jared, we've talked a lot of theory. what can somebody, they're listening to this, they're jiving, they're like, yeah, I'm interested, I want to hear more. What can somebody do today, this afternoon, after they hit pause or skip on the next podcast? What can somebody do right now to stop acting like they're immortal?
Well, I think the number one is to reach out to somebody that you either look up to, respect, someone you haven't talked to in a while, but somebody that means something to you. Go find and create or build on a relationship that you already have. And that's,
what do I say? What do I say to that person?
Thank you for whatever you're grateful for. So gratitude is a huge piece of post-traumatic growth. It's a huge piece of living a happy, fulfilled life. So showing someone and directly telling them, whether it's a phone call, FaceTime, or in person, telling them how grateful for them you are.
Okay, great. What else? Anything else?
One thing, and to make it an action step, don't have these be your regrets. Like there are these top 5 regrets that people have. They did a study on it in 2012, so it's a little old, but there's 5 things that people regret on their deathbed. So the first one is, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. And that means like spent more time with kids, family, did things that you loved. 2, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. So like I said, reaching out, finding somebody that you're close to, making a connection. 3, I wish I had let myself be happier, doing the things that you want to do and, doing the woodworking instead of the psychology thing. Number 4, I wish I'd had the courage to express my true self. And this kind of leads into number 5. I wish I'd lived a life true to my dreams instead of what others expected of me. So I think that's a good way to just say, do something you want to do today. Don't do something that you think you should do. Don't do something that you are assuming somebody else thinks you should do. Do something that you want to do. Whether that's just go for a hike when maybe you could be doing something for work, or when you get home, play with your kids instead of answer those emails. Do something that you want to do.
Absolutely. No, I like that as an action step, because that's kind of a roadmap. Like, hey, if you feel like you in the back of your mind might have some of these regrets already, it's like, kind of motivating. It's like, you got time. We're not immortal, but like you have time to fix it and turn that into a non-regret anymore.
Well, I tell you what I'm doing. As soon as we end this podcast, I'm writing those 5 things down on a sticky note and I'm putting them on the bathroom mirror. So that way I set the tone for the day of like, whatever you do, don't do these 5 things.
Yes. Because Jared said not to.
Right. Yeah. Well, I just don't want to go to my deathbed and see, look back on my life and have a regret like that. Like if I have time to spend with my wife, I'm going to spend time with her over anything else. And that's because I know that if I didn't take that second, minute, hour, whatever it was that I have available for her, I would regret that for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just spending your time the way you want to, and feel empowered by that. That
was good, guys. Like, thank you so much for listening and checking out this episode with Jared. I would say I hope you learned something, but I know you learned something. Man, that was it's a big topic. Like, hey, you're immortal. Like, remember, you're not going to be here forever. Try to do as much as you possibly can, and your time is valuable. But good to hear every once in a while.
Absolutely. So if you like the show, let us know. Give us some feedback. You can send us an email to letsquitpodcast@gmail.com. You can also share the show with a friend if you think it would help somebody or something like that. That's really the best thing that you could do for us. Otherwise, just leave a review on the podcasting app of your choice. Let the world know how great this show is. That's about it.
And go check out Jared.
Yes.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.